the moment we connect with our authenticity, our peculiarities, I don't know if that is the right word, then you really become happy again. But we must go back to the dreams that we had as a little child, those daydreams, and then we grow up, we get connected to this Western world, and we learn that you must be like this, and you must be like this, and you must be like, and one day we wake up at 60 and you're unhappy and you don't know why. So please connect with yourself, become eccentric.
Amore, so great to meet you here on Zoom.
Same here, Petra. Thanks for inviting me.
It's a great pleasure. You are really a household name in South Africa. Everybody knows you from the radio. And you're also a writer and a public speaker. And how does it feel this time to be on the other side of the interview mic?
Uncomfortable, Petra.
Really? I can't believe it.
Yes.
Because you're a storyteller and you really have a connection with people. Is that something, storytelling, is that something that you've always been interested in?
I think it's there's a lovely word, in Afrikaans. What would the word be in English? I think we all get born with this feeling inside that we want to tell our story. I think it comes from our ancestors, and I think it comes from 1 million years ago, where people were sitting around a fire telling stories, try to make sense of their lives. I think that is still within us. And in our modern day today, connection is the big word, connection. You've got to be connected, or we're all searching for connection. And I think stories is going to become big again. So, I love telling stories. I love listening to other people's stories. We all have to try and make sense of our lives. And by listening to your own story, I always say to people, if you come to, say, 50, 60 and nothing is making sense, find a friend who doesn't gossip. Meet them once a week at the Wimpy and say, I will pay for the coffee, but can I just please tell you my story? Not that your friend must hear your story, but that you must hear your own story. And if you can't find a friend like that, find someone on the internet who does not even understand English. Find a Chinese person. Just tell them your story. Pay them if you have to, but just tell them your story. That's how we make sense. That's how we heal. And that's how we connect with everybody around us.
That's so true. And that authenticity, I think, is what we need in this world today. I hear that so often from artists also saying, I want to express myself in my authentic way, the way I want to do it, not the way that's commercially viable. I want to say how I feel. And I think that's exactly what you're saying now. It's saying something from yourself.
Yes, look, we were all created so uniquely. And it's time we become still and find our own voice. And I love eccentric people. And apparently eccentric people, they live longer.
Oh, really?
Yes, they live longer. They might not have many friends, but they don't even care. Just tell your own story. I have a friend, and perhaps you know her, Petra. Her name is Antoinette Pinaar. Do you know about Antoinette Pinaar?
I know of her. Yeah, I know of her.
Yes.
I remember.
So she's such an interesting woman. She was a cabaret singer in Cape Town or in South Africa in the early 90s, and then she got terrible malaria in Mali in West Africa. She was traveling there on her own. They have a music festival once a year that lasts for 4 weeks, and she was there alone. at this music festival. And then she contracted malaria. Or is it malaria? Anyway, cerebral malaria she got. And when people get that and you're not diagnosed early enough, most people die. Anyway, thank goodness they sent the Red Cross, sent an aeroplane or a helicopter to fetch her. She came back to South Africa. She was in a coma for 4 days and 4 nights. And when she came out of that coma, she said to herself, I'm going to go back to the dreams that I had as a little girl, my passions that I had as a little girl. And that was to heal people from the felt.
Really?
And then she stopped with her cabaret singing, stopped doing concerts, and she found this lovely old man in Beaufort West in the township, Oom Johannes. And she knew he knew all the plants of the veld. And she says, Oom Johannes, there is a farm in the Karoo. It has no water, it has no electricity. Nobody wants to live on this farm anymore. It belongs to my family. Let's go stay there. And I want you to teach me everything about the veld. So now they're living there between Beaufort West and Aberdeen in the Great Karoo. There's nothing there. It's just this little farmhouse. People haven't lived there for like 75 years because it also spooks in that house. How do you say that in English?
There's ghosts. Yeah.
There's ghosts. In that house as well. Anyway, they live there. And she has such an authentic life. And I used to speak to her on radio for 20 years, once a week. And look, they don't have a television there or a computer. And the listeners always used to say, but she's mad. How can you live like that? And I always said, she's the most normal, happiest person that I know. Because she's so authentic. She's so authentic. Yeah. The moment we connect with our authenticity, our peculiarities, I don't know if that is the right word, then you really become happy again. But we must go back to the dreams that we had as a little child, those daydreams, and then we grow up, we get connected to this Western world, and we learn that you must be like this, and you must be like this, and you must be like. And one day we wake up at 60 and you're unhappy and you don't know why. So please connect with yourself. Become eccentric. Do whatever you have to.
I do agree with you, and I think it's time now that this happens. I think people really want that, and maybe it was COVID and the time, that we were all confined to our homes that we really started thinking about life and getting things into perspective,
That's so true. COVID was not just bad. I believe in perfect order, and everything happens exactly the way it should. And COVID was there to learn us an amazing lesson or a wonderful opportunity to start with a journey within.
Absolutely. But Amore, you were a radio host for a very long time in your life. But I also read that you studied drama originally.
Yes, I studied drama in the 80s. Oh, the mid-80s. And Petra, since then, I finished drama. I was so naive. I was not prepared for the world out there. I didn't succeed in one audition. I couldn't succeed in my audition. So I never got a job. And as all wannabe actresses, I became a waitress. And that is the best thing I did in my life.
Really?
Because when you're a waitress, you learn how to work under pressure. You learn to work with difficult people. You learn to work with money, and you must got to be quick. It was such a wonderful learning curve for me. So, but my life happened exactly the way it had to happen, So I'm so glad that I didn't in the beginning succeed in an audition and became an actress. And eventually I became a radio presenter, and that was the way it should have been, and I had a wonderful career, 33 years.
Wow.
On radio. And and now I just one day I woke up and I had this feeling that there's something wonderful waiting for me out there. I was 58 then. There's more joy waiting out there. And so I left the radio job. I was at different radio stations, and and that wonderful thing is now happening with me. It started within year, Pietra.
Yeah.
Within year, and I'm now going to become an actress at 60.
Wow, amazing. But as a child, were you already then sort of interested in, I'm sure not many people as a child say, I want to become a radio presenter, but you went that route from going into drama, and then was it then sort of, how did this opportunity come to get into radio? From the restaurant, from waitressing?
Okay. Pietra, I was a middle child.
Yeah.
And, all middle children become clowns or rebels because you've got to do something that the rest of the family sees you, or recognizes you. So I became an extrovert. We were 3 children. I'm the middle children. But even if there are 5 children, those 3 in the middle will suffer. The first child is the crown prince, and the last child will always be the baby, and he's spoiled. But those in the middle, ooh. Anyway, so I was always an extrovert in those years, in the 70s. So if you're an extrovert, okay, you either become a teacher. And I thought, let me become an actress, extrovert. Yeah. I thought, or do something in the performing arts. Okay, so I didn't succeed as an actress when I finished my years as acting. And besides becoming a waitress, I traveled overseas. I did sheep shearing in New Zealand.
What?
Can you believe it? Oh,
amazing.
It was so tiring.
Yeah.
It was so boring, so tiring. But I had to do something to survive. But even through that, nothing in your life is everything in your life you do adds to your story, because you cannot become a radio presenter if you don't have a story. You must have lived a little bit. Anyway, so after a year, I came back to South Africa, and my parents moved from Cape Town to Port Elizabeth, and there I became an actress again. Oh, yeah. Not an actress, a waitress again, knowing that I will never make it as an actress. And someone at a radio station contacted me then. It was the old Radio South African, Afrikaans Radio South Africa. PE is a small place. They heard I'm there, and they heard I had such an interesting journey all over the world. This was in 1987 that I had this journey. So not many South Africans in 1987 toured the world.
No.
So
I was just going to say that was already, that job that you did there was not something that people used to do those days.
Yes. And especially if you're a woman, Yeah. So they said, come for an interview. Come, we want to talk to you about your journey. And when the lady, we had a wonderful interview, and she said to me, but now what are you doing in PE? I said, I'm working at the Maverick Spur as a waitress. She says, no, man, come for an audition at Radio Algoa. And then I went there for an audition, and it was wonderful, and I got a job, and the rest is history. So I started at Radio Algoa, moved on to Radio Good Hope in Cape Town, then KFM, also in Cape Town, which was first Radio Contré. And then, I got bored there again after 10 years, and I thought, let me come to Gauteng. Let me come and see what's happening here. And it was such a wonderful move. I live in Johannesburg now, and let me tell you, Johannesburg is just the most fantastic place in South Africa.
I agree.
It has it has the best climate. It doesn't get as hot as Pretoria. There's an energy here. There's an energy in Johannesburg that is amazing, and so much stimulation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a reason why 8 million people live here. And look, Johannesburg gets such a lot of bad news from wherever. But so have you also lived in Jersey?
For 2 years I when I studied, but I also lived down in the Cape. But I always say when I come back to South Africa, that will be the place I go to. I love Johannesburg. Absolutely. I grew up near Johannesburg, and my mum is from Johannesburg. So my grandparents lived there. So I totally agree with you. And, somebody once said that area of South Africa is like the engine room of the country. It's like where things happen and where things start. And I do agree with it. There's definitely a vibe there.
You know what I also love about Jersey, Pietra, is the confidence of the Africans. Now, us with our past, which is complicated, it has made many African people in the rest of the country a bit submissive. I don't know if that is the right word.
Yeah.
Subservient. But Johannesburg, the happier people are, the more confidence they have. For instance, there will be a security guard watching your car. He will help you with the parking, and then he'll say, "Mommy, that red cap looks very good on you." I see that.
Yeah.
We're more of a normal society here, where we're all on the same level.
Yeah.
I get a black man chaffing me, telling me, "Oh, I like your calves." I love that. I love
that. I was my last visit in South Africa, I was in Clicks, and the two people working there, music came on and they just started dancing. And I thought to myself, only in Johannesburg, where else will you get that?
The joy of the people.
In the world. Yeah.
Absolutely. The confidence to start dancing in a public place,
Yeah.
How fortunate are we? And that joy is around us, So
Absolutely.
The other day I was putting in petrol, or I had my car at a petrol station, and the guy who put in the petrol, his name was Tears. Tears, eh? As in
crying. Yeah.
I said, "My bro, how did you get that name, Tears? It's so sad." He said, "No, Mummy, it's tears of joy." It's tears of joy. Sad. Got this from my granny. No, man. There's a lady. The lady who's been living in Switzerland, a South African lady. She and her family, they moved back after 15 years in Switzerland. And she said the reason why she moved back is she missed the strangers in South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, she says, because everywhere you go, you have a little tete there with the people around you. If it's the waitress or the petrol attendant or whoever, there's always a little tete there,
Yes, that's true. Yeah. That's
something
absolutely true. Yeah. That's also something I miss, from South Africa. Definitely. Yeah, no, definitely.
But this sounds... Sorry, Petra, I just want to mention this one thing. This might sound weird, but like, for instance, if you're walking in a public place, or you accidentally drop your cell phone or your handbag, or you trip over something, there's always so many black people that they say, "Huskies."
Oh, yeah.
Always says "Huskies," which is an Afrikaans word, which means "I'm so sorry." Now, I've caused my tripping. I've caused my cell phone to fall out of my bag or what have you. We say "Huskies."
Yeah, that's true.
That is so special to have sympathy from a stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
But also I see when I'm with my parents and they are elderly, and they call them Oma and Opa, like Grandma and Grandpa, and they're so lovely to them as well. It's so endearing, and it's so South Africa for me.
Yeah, man, that's so special how they've now adopted your parents, their oma and opa. And they treat them with respect, and this is beautiful.
Yeah. But Amore, you are definitely a storyteller. Absolutely. I mean, and you're a writer, and I see that you've also written books about stories that people have told you.
Yes. I have published 5 books, but all of them has stories of that I heard on the radio. So it's it's 2 recipe books of the listeners' recipes,
Okay. Yeah.
And there's also an interesting story to it. Then I had a book called Heart Stories. It is what people experience when they drive home in the afternoon, It's a terrible time of the day. Most of the time you're in traffic, and the amazing things that happens to them on the road, or what goes through their head. There was, for instance, just one short story. There was this man with a very unhappy marriage. And then in the afternoons, he tunes into the radio just to find out where's all the traffic jams, that he can go sit in a traffic jam because he doesn't want to get home too early.
Oh, no. That's so sad. Yeah.
Yeah. And then a 4th book on the name of this book was Toevallig. Because I believe that nothing is toevallig. Toevallig means coincidence. Coincidence, if you say it slowly, it means coincidence means coincide. Like toevallig means toevallig. Toeval die lig. Niks is toevallig nie. Nothing is a coincidence. The most amazing stories that I got there. And my 5th book, Petra, is on angels. People telling me what happened to them. Amazing experience that they've had with angels.
Really?
Yeah, so I've just put stories together of people. Now I'm busy with my 6th book, and it is my memoirs. And Petra. Oh, your name is Petra, hey?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had COVID twice, my short-term memory. Petra, listen, I had to wait for my parents to die before I can write my memoirs, because my memoirs is so woest. And my memoirs is so dangerous that if my parents had to read it, their hearts would not handle it. So they're both dead now. So I can write my memoirs. I'm now busy with my memoirs.
And how is it to delve back into these things? Because there must be some things that it can't be all just wonderful memories that you have.
Yeah. It is out of the difficult memories that your stories come. It's out of that, and trying to make sense of things. So, yes, there are difficult things that I write about. For instance, number 1, I had the perception, Petra, and this was only my perception, but for me it was reality. I had wonderful parents. Please, I had wonderful parents. But it was my perception that they didn't love me.
Really?
Enough. We all have that, man. That they didn't love me enough. And they were just trying to carry on with their own lives. So, and then I went to school. I was so glad to go to school because I thought, let me go find a new family at school, Middle children always, they're very glad to leave the house. And at school, I was there for 3 weeks, and the teacher said to me, but you are dumb. You've got to go to the donkey line. Ray. What is ray in English?
Line.
So in the 70s in South Africa, all the schools, perhaps in the 80s or the 60s as well, they had 3 lines in the class where you sit. And then there was the most clever children were sitting on that side. Then the medium children, the clever children were called the haasies, the rabbits, the hares, because they. I don't know. Where did you grow up in South Africa?
In Vanderbijl Park.
I don't know if the schools also had that there, but anyway.
Yeah, we were also in the classes. Sometimes you had the class with the strongest children, and then the middle class, and yeah, I understand exactly where. I understand what you're talking about.
So anyway, so my whole life through, I thought I was a bit stupid. I thought that my whole life, because remember the 70s, you believed what adults told you. Remember? You believed what adults told you. And so it was very difficult. Okay, I could go to varsity, thank goodness, but even in varsity, I acted like the stupid girl. And then I also did not even succeed in any auditions. So, and boyfriends always left me. So, yes, I had to search very deep for, but things happened in my life. There was a pattern in my life of men leaving me, Petra, and abandoning me. That's how I saw it. And I didn't get the lesson. I didn't get the lesson that I was abandoning myself. Your partner in life is always your mirror. It shows you what people treat you the way you treat yourself. And that's why everyone is a mirror in your life. And when I was 44, I had a great love in my life, a wonderful man. And he died in an aeroplane crash.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Petra. And there I realized I've got to go to a psychologist and I've got to find out. Look, that is the final abandonment, isn't it? That's the final abandonment. I never got married, by the way, in my life. That was a big love. Who knows what would have happened? But by then, when that happened, I realized there's a pattern in my life of men leaving me. Then I went to a psychologist. I started with a wonderful, wonderful journey with her. It's a technique that was developed in South Africa. It's called the SHIP technique. SHIP. Yeah. SHIP stands for Spontaneous Healing Intrasystemic Process. So they work with your subconscious mind. They don't hypnotize you, but they work directly with the subconscious mind. And that's which shows itself a lot in your body. Our bodies have all the answers. Our bodies,
I believe that,
are just so wise. Our bodies are so wise. Anyway, I'm not going to go too deeply into this now, but through that all, I came to the realization that in my mother's womb, I already experienced abandonment.
Really?
Look, it wasn't my mother's fault. This was the path I chose in this lifetime. This is the path I've chosen. So my mom almost had two miscarriages with me.
Oh, I see.
And there in her womb, I experienced those miscarriages as abandonment.
Oh, it makes sense. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So I came into this lifetime expecting more abandonment. Why would I think any way different? So it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. And only at the age of 44, I saw the light. Only at the age of 44, I realized I've been holding this thought, this very life-limiting thought that I will be abandoned.
But isn't it isn't it when you realize these things that you also realize that these things that's actually supposed to limit us, or that limit us in a way, but it also drives us in another way, like you sort of overcompensate for the things you're doing because of that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So in my case, Petra, I became very needy in relationships.
Mm.
I wanted to make sure that the boyfriend doesn't leave me, So I compensated, I want to make sure he's not going to leave me. And then I become so needy that they leave me.
Oh, yeah. I understand. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm.
We are,
Yeah.
also
I do.
overcompensation. Sorry.
Yeah.
Also, compensation can also mean that you work very hard because you want to be seen.
Yeah, that's true.
And you put so much pressure on yourself.
But how wonderful that you came to this conclusion. But do you think also the stories that you heard, or the people that told you these stories, that you were more open to listen and more aware of their struggle because of what you went through?
Yes, for the first time, I could have empathy with loneliness, with with people who were really down and out. Yes, with all people actually who go through difficult times. With all people, it made my heart bigger, I think, and have more empathy with people. I want to talk on. People say, "Oh, I feel so sorry for that one. I feel so sorry." Feeling sorry for someone is not going to help that person. It's not empowering. Feeling sorry for a person. So I don't like the word sorry. I like the word when you have empathy with someone. That is empowering, because for a moment you're putting yourself in that person's shoes.
That's so true. Yeah.
That is empowering for that person and you. But to just feel sorry, and you become, you get people that say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. And they themselves become pathetic. It becomes their identity to feel sorry. They become depressed, whatever. So we must have empathy with each other, and that is empowering. Yes.
But I was thinking now that also, as a radio presenter, you are supposed to be talking a lot, but you were listening a lot, because you had, like you say, gave people the opportunity to tell their story, or when they were on their way home, to tell you what they were thinking, instead of you always telling them what you are thinking. So how wonderful that you were the one behind the mic and in that radio station then.
Yes. Look, I had more than enough time to tell my own stories, and Petra, sometimes someone starts with a story and this is going to go nowhere. And I would stop the call. I would say, I don't know how I did it. But early on if this is going to be a good story. But when someone can tell their own story. But what I also believe, Petra, is that it is the person on the street who has the most amazing stories. That whole thing of reality is stranger. What is that word in English? That famous sentence that is stranger than fiction. Real life is stranger than fiction, man.
Yeah, actually it is. Yeah.
There's that famous English quote. Yeah, immediately when this is going to be a good story. I remember a story now where this woman was going to get married, and she got a ring from her granny, but this ring was so unique. It was such a unique ring. Her granny had this ring made like 120 years ago. And one day they had plumbers working at their house and the ring got stolen.
Mm.
And she went around to all the pawn shops with this ring to say, haven't you seen this ring? And nobody saw the ring. One day she was sitting in an aeroplane.
Mm.
And she phoned me. She said, there's a woman sitting next to me with this ring.
Unbelievable.
And she said, and I asked this lady, she quickly went to the toilet. You know, if the aeroplane lifts off, you could still have airtime.
Yeah.
She asked this woman, because we were all following the story, she asked this woman, where did she get this ring? And this woman said she bought it at a pawn shop in St. Milnerton. She said, that is my granny's ring. I said, okay, keep me on the line. I want to hear what you're going to say to this woman next. Keep us all on the line.
Really?
We were on the line waiting, what's going to happen now? And then she had to put her phone off.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because then they all had to put the phone off. But unbelievable.
But you experience all that, or you were, I spoke to a painter once that said to me, all the thousands of paintings that he has done is on his shoulders. You know, he's carrying these pictures, these paintings. And I'm just thinking, you are carrying all these stories, all these stories that people have told you and things that people have told you. You are carrying it with you.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I never thought of it that way. Yes. And it has also formed me in a way, Yes.
I absolutely believe that, because I think if I think of all the stories I also hear, from artists, and it has changed my outlook on life. It has changed how I look at different art forms as well, and how I, just how I understand why somebody or why we all have the urge to do a form of art. So I do think it does change you.
It does, and it's a form of survival. Art, for most people, it's a form of survival. I once or twice in my life, say 3 or 4 times, I've written poems. I've written about 4 poems, Petra, and it was times in my life where those poems saved me. The pain was so deep, so sore. I could only write a poem about it, and that saved me. But
so also your writing. I mean, I think you were saying that you're also writing a play now.
Yes. I had a think tank with 3 producers the end of last year. I said, I want to do a one-woman show. I've studied drama 40 years ago, and I want to try the stage. And we were thinking, what can I do a one-woman show about? And then one of the guys said, why not about wine? Wine is such a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Are you a wine drinker?
Yes. I love wine. Are you a wine drinker?
I'm a wine drinker, but red wine. I like red wine.
Yeah. It was so difficult now to write a script for theatre on wine. Yeah. It must be entertaining, but it must take the person, the people, the audience. I must make them cry. I must make them laugh. I must make them cross. I must, whatever, like when you watch a play, you're taken to a climax. And Petra, I found such amazing information about wine. For instance, I'm just going to do something small on the history of wine in my play. Did you know that in the year 1700, there were 5 black wine farmers in Jonkershoek in Stellenbosch?
Really?
So few people know it. Most people in South Africa doesn't know it. Can you believe it? I've never heard of it. 5 black farmers.
Yeah, but there's still now one in near it's next to La Motte, I think. It's a wonderful story. I did an interview with the wine with the owner. They bought the wine farm. I mean, they grew up. I think the mum was a worker on a farm or on the farm. Do you know of what I'm talking about? I can't remember the name of the farm. Yeah.
And that guy, the owner, he speaks fluently Afrikaans.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I also saw that. Now look, this is now recently. Yes, there's now a few black wine farmers, but I'm talking about the year 1700.
I didn't know.
1700. They were freed slaves, and they were given the land. And they did very well. Look, they were already in their 40s. In the year 1700, 40, when you're like 40 old, 45 years old, you were ancient, you know. So some of them had to give their farms to, you know, to other people. But yes, that was just so interesting. They were freed slaves who were given the land. So that is wonderful. And I'm just going to give you one other interesting fact about wine, Petra. Which country in the world drinks the most per capita?
Must be South Africa, I'm sure.
My Scott, you weren't going to believe it. The Vatican City.
Really?
You know, the Vatican City is a country.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah, it's a country on its own, with its own grondwet. What is that in English? Constitution.
Yeah.
Petra? There's only 800 people living in the Vatican City. I think it's all the communion.
Oh, yeah.
What do you call Nachtmaal in English? What is Nachtmaal in English?
Communion. Yeah, Holy Communion.
Holy Communion. But look, one of the first miracles was Jesus changing water into wine.
Exactly.
They drink, I'm going to tell you how much they drink. I read it. I think it's three bottles per person. I forgot that, but it's the highest percent. They drink the most in the world per capita. The Vatican City, isn't it wonderful to know?
It is, yeah. I would have said, yes. I would have easily guessed South Africa because I know we open a wine for no reason.
I know. But it is. And I think second is, I forgot, no. But South Africa, it must be amongst the first 5 in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so fitting. And this would be so interesting to do a one-woman show on wine.
Yes. And Petra, I've got a sketch in my one-woman show where it's a wonderful sketch where it's happening at the huge wedding where Jesus changed water into wine.
Oh, yeah.
The sketch is happening at this wedding where John the Baptist phones the caterer of this wedding.
Yeah.
To ask him, how's things going there? You know, in those days, a wedding will last like for a week, you know, or 10 days because people came from far. And then John asks the caterer, his name is Jaime. Jaime, it was a Jewish guy, you know, Jewish, asking him, he heard that Jesus is there. And then Jaime says, yes, man, his name is on the list. His name is on the list. And Jeshua and Party. He said, but it took them like 3 days to recognize him because they thought, because he says he's the son of the Messiah, he must have a very grand cloak. But he's got a cloak like all the others. He says, and they thought he will sit at the head table with all the important people, but no. He's mixing with the ordinary folk of the town. And that is for me so beautiful and touching, you know?
Yeah. And so personalized.
Yes. Yeah. And then the next moment, Barnabas came running onto the stage saying, oh, there's no wine, you know? Anyway, and then it carries on like that. And then I'm also now at the age of 60. I've started to take singing lessons.
Amore, how amazing.
But it's difficult. It's difficult, Petra. And perhaps you know the lady who gives me these lessons. Her name is Hanley Lowe. She's a South African opera singer. She also sang overseas.
Yeah,
Hanley Lowe.
Oh, I must get in contact with Hanley.
Yeah, she's quite a character. She has a restaurant now. She's lovely. I'm going to give you her details.
Absolutely.
And she's also, she loves wine. She's totally into wine. Totally. Because I must sing a song. You know, I mean, if you do one woman show, you must do something cabaret in it.
Yeah.
It's moeilijk. It's not easy. But anyway, at least I've met Hanley and she's lovely. Yeah. So let's see how it does. Oh, the name of my play is going to be From Bacchus to Bekker. You know, Bacchus with the Roman king.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Amore Bekker. Yeah, and Bekker.
Ja, my skat van Bacchus tot Bekker. So
I love it. When will this play be performed?
It'll be on stage. Our preview is on the 28th of February in Pretoria at the Atterbury Theatre. Then from there, we're going to travel the country. We're going to all the arts festivals. You know, there's a lot of arts festivals in South Africa, Afrikaans art festivals. And then I'm going to travel to the festivals. And you know who is my director?
No.
Toby Cronje.
Oh, wow. Oh, this is amazing.
How lucky can a girl be?
No, absolutely.
How lucky.
Yeah.
Yes. And
so are you going to do it in English, the show?
No, it will be done in Afrikaans.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be done in Afrikaans.
But Amore, you have to do an English version and come and tour to Vienna. We've got an English theatre here.
Really?
Yeah. So how amazing would that be?
Yeah. So,
but I would, but touring South Africa and the festivals, the art festivals that you have there is amazing.
They are. I just came now from the arts festival in Oudtshoorn, which was our first big Afrikaans arts festival, the KAK&K. And yes, the people attended the theatre so beautifully. I mean, people are really into theatre here. People love theatre, and that's good.
Yeah, and this is why I try to talk to as many South African artists as possible, because I think highlighting the work that you are all doing and, you know, just showing all the talent in South Africa.
Oh, yes. I went to the Market Theatre about a month ago. There was a play, you know, J.M. Coetzee, the world famous Booker Prize winner from South Africa. Do you know who J.M. Coetzee is?
No, I don't.
He wrote the book Disgrace, and then he won his second Booker Prize, you know, these huge international prizes. And then he moved to Australia about 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And he's got this play. He won the Booker Prize for this play in 1983, and it's called The Life and Times of Michael Kay. And this play has been running in New York now at Broadway.
I know about that, about the play. I didn't know he was the one who wrote it.
He wrote it. But Petra, now in this play, have you heard of the Handspring Puppet Company in Cape Town?
No.
They are world-renowned. They've been there for 30 years. They make life-size puppets. Have you heard of the amazing musical, was also international, War Horse?
Oh, yes. Yes.
They made those horses in War Horse. They made it in Cape Town. And then I'm sure you've heard of when Syria had that huge civil war, and then there were many vluchtelingen, what's that in English? Refugees.
Refugees, yes.
You know, that left Syria. then they made this huge puppet, which was a girl of 7 years old. Her name was Amore. She was about 3 stories high, this puppet, walking through the streets of countries where there were refugees, just to give little children hope, walking through refugee camps as well. Anyway, and in this play, The Life and Times of Michael Kay, they've got actors. I mean, Sandra Prinsloo is one of the actors in there, and then they've got these puppets. And you know what? I cannot explain it, but the empathy that these puppets can get from the audience, it's just amazing, and how we fall in love with these puppets. And just shortly, the story, it's such a wonderful South African story. It is about a young black guy in Cape Town who's a gardener, and his mom is sorry, I don't speak English a lot. Isn't this amazing? I've lived in 5 South African cities, and Joburg, I've never spoken so much Afrikaans than in Joburg.
Really?
Isn't it weird?
What is the word you're looking for?
The English of a household.
A maid?
No, a domestic worker. Nowadays,
worker. Yeah.
Domestic worker. In Durban, they still use that word because, Durban is, but in the rest of the country, we say domestic worker. Anyway, so his mom is a domestic worker, and she's getting old, and she wants to die in the Groot Karoo, in the Great Karoo, in the town of Prince Albert, where she grew up on a farm. Then he puts her in a kruiwa. What is that in English?
A wheelbarrow.
He puts her in the wheelbarrow, and he tackles the N1. Wheelbarrow with his mom in the wheelbarrow. And it's still the days of the pass, where you had to have a pass. You can't leave Cape Town. If you were African, a black person, you had to have a pass. You may not be on the streets after 8 in the evening, stupid things like that. You can't travel to the rest of the country. You needed a pass to travel. And how they tackle the N1, his mom in the wheelbarrow, on their way to Prince Albert. No, the story is heart-wrenching, but you know what, Petra, I believe miracles cannot happen when you're in a sort of perfect country. I know there's no country that's perfect, but in a country like ours, where there's such a lot of heartache, that's where you see the miracles. And that's where you see humanity, and
absolutely. And the real people, I always say, not the people that they try to portray on the news, on television. The real people in South Africa, they look out for each other, they care for each other. And I think that's always like that in countries, it's that one-to-one, or that the people's people.
That is so true. Look, I rather want to be poor in an African country than poor in a Western country. Because when you're poor, you will be surrounded. Obviously, when you're poor, you're surrounded by poor people as well. I'm talking about really poor now, you're living in a shack somewhere. And you will always have food. Poor people look out for each other. You will always... Can I tell you a short story?
Yeah, please. I love your story.
How much time do we have left?
No, carry on.
Okay, so I have a wonderful domestic worker working for me. She's from Zimbabwe. Her name is True Girl. Like boy, like untrue boy, true girl.
Oh, True Girl, yeah.
True Girl. So for the past 5 years, she's had a dream, at night when she sleeps. She's the only child of her parents, and her dad died some time ago. But she dreams at night that she's got a brother. And her mom says, no, you don't have a brother. No, you were the only child of your dad and mine. You don't have a brother. But she keeps on having this dream. Last year, she sees this guy on Facebook. also from Zimbabwe. He looks just like her dad. She contacts him. She says, listen, excuse this question, but may I ask, who's your daddy? He says, my daddy. This is his name, but he has died. It was her father.
Oh,
She
what?
says, listen, I'm your sister. I never knew you. I never
Isn't that
knew
amazing?
you. So her dad had a child with another woman as well, whenever, I think before he met her mom.
Mm.
And she says, tell me about yourself. Where are you? He said he's in a house. He's in an orphanage in Harare.
Yeah.
He grew up in this orphanage because his mom died not long after his dad. And he grew up in this orphanage. And he's now 23. He's still in the orphanage because he works in the garden there and he teaches the children English. He helps with things around the orphanage. But he thought he had no family. She says, yes, you have family. And I'm coming to Zimbabwe in 2 weeks' time. She was planning to go. And I want you to come stay with us this weekend. You have family in Plumtree, Zimbabwe. Plumtree is an area in Zimbabwe. And he came there for the weekend and they hulle het 'n bees geslag. Say that in English for me.
They slaughtered a cow or yeah.
They slaughtered a cow. Look, I'm a city girl. I don't know what's the difference between a cow and I don't even know what the other.
Yeah. But
They slaughtered a
how
cow.
amazing that she got that and that feeling to contact him. Oh, I believe in these things. I do believe in these things.
Yes, me too, because we'll talk about that later. Petra, so the whole family were just so happy to know that there's a boy that they didn't know about, and he's their family. And they asked him, what is his dream? And he said he I can't remember what it was, want to become a teacher. But he doesn't have money, obviously. And they said, look, we are all going to gather together. We're going to put money together that you can study to become a teacher.
Wow.
How beautiful is that? How beautiful is that?
Yeah.
And Petra, they're all poor. They're all poor. And they put money together to help him in his first year, because he did very well at school. So, how did we come to this story? Yeah, if you're poor, rather. I was once poor in Pretoria. I was unemployed, and I didn't live in a township, but I was so aware of so many poor people on the street. And I learned things there that I would have never learned if I had money. Never. I learned the value of things. I learned that there will always be enough for today. There will always be enough for today. Don't worry about tomorrow. It's not here yet. It's not here yet. There will always be enough for today. And the kindness from poor people. You know what? There's been so much research that poor people are in any way so much happier than rich people.
Yeah. And you know what? I always believe money is flowing. Sometimes you have it and sometimes you don't. And, you just have to, you don't have to hang on to it so tight. You just have to let it be when it comes to you, then it's yours. And when it goes, then you have to learn a lesson.
Yes.
But you talk about Africa and the support, and I talk a lot to also artists in Kenya, for example, and Nigeria and Tanzania. And after an interview with one of these artists, I always feel so much or so enriched and so motivated, because it's amazing how they, with so little, I don't think the Western world or the European countries understand with what limited resources these guys do things. I mean, sometimes it's sometimes stories like I just had a pencil. I just had a pencil and I had to borrow paper or something like that. Or the guy who started animating by making these little booklets and drawing pictures in it, and then you flip the book. You know what we did in school? Then you flip the book and all the pictures then make an animation.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? And he went to businesses and say to them, I will make you a little booklet of your business, a little animation. And this is how he started in animation. And what was so amazing is how they help each other, you know, how they support each other. And how I speak to someone and then they would tell me about somebody else that they want me to speak to, because they're helping each other. You know, it's not just me. It's that community that they have. And I think Africa, you know, we only see the poverty in Africa, but nobody shows these things, show these you know, the resilience of the people, the creativity of the people, and how they come out of these situations and still create. There's no excuse. We don't have excuses not to create.
That's so true. Yeah. And as you say, those difficult situations, poverty, it makes them so creative. And that is what makes you a happy person. Yeah. In the moment you're busy creating, I mean, creation, I think it's the highest form of, I once had a quote, sorry, Ketra, I'm forgetting so many things.
I'm glad to know that, because me too, you know, sometimes I know you don't remember the quote, but no, I understand what you mean. But all this that you are experiencing, and also your life, and like you say, you went through poverty as well, or jobless as well. And now you're also doing public speaking, and I see also motivational speaking. So does this help you also to sort of connect, you know, because somebody who goes to a motivational speaker wants to also know that you understand where they are.
Yes, and I don't like the word motivational speaker. I will say in English, I'm an inspirational speaker.
Oh, yeah.
But I've got a better word in Afrikaans, and there's no English for that. You know, a week after I resigned at the radio, I was talking at a place, and the lady who introduced me, she says, here's Amore, and nowadays, deesdae is sy 'n raakprater.
Ja.
So
That's a brilliant word, a raakprater.
There's not even a word
you
like that.
You can't translate it.
Yeah. So I said, and then people ask me now, so you're a raakprater? I said, yes. So they said, oh, wat doen 'n raakprater? And the first year I said, I don't know. But I just love the word, you know. But now I say, people invite me en dan gaan praat ek dinge raak.
Yeah.
So I have 4 stories. I talk 4 stories about 4 dramatic things that happened to me in my life, and how I made sense of it. So it is, although it was difficult things, the story is inspirational. It's fun. You must have fun, and it is deep. It has depth. All of it has depth. And the bottom line of all those talks are, you've got to find your passion. You know, Oscar Wilde said, his words were, any fool can come through a big trauma, but it's day-to-day living that is so bloody difficult. Day-to-day living. And I say, know what your passions are in life and make it simple, that you can just get through the day. I think I suffer from a bit of, I think, depression, Petra. Day-to-day living is not easy for me, but I make sure I do my passions every day. I make sure, can I tell you my passions?
Please. Yes.
My whole life I've been asking God, please, what is the goal of my life? What gives meaning to my life? Why did you create me? And only then again at the age of 44, I discovered my goal in life and why I was created. And that is to eat and to talk.
Okay.
Eating and talking. There's nothing that gives me more joy than that. Eating and talking. So keep your joys simple. Imagine your goal in life is to climb Kilimanjaro. I mean, you can only do it once in your life or twice. No, man, find what else is your joy. What else? I cannot tell you, I wake up in the mornings, the first thing I think about is, what am I going to have for lunch? It gives me so much joy. I cannot tell you. And then when I'm finished with my lunch, I go sleep for an hour.
Yeah.
And then I wake up and then I think, what am I going to have for supper? And the joy I have in planning that and eating that, I cannot tell you.
I love it. I'm like that over my breakfast. I absolutely love my breakfast.
What do you have for breakfast? I'm so bored with my breakfast.
I have 2 eggs, sourdough bread, and a fried tomato. And that is my life. I can have that.
Really?
Yeah, I have that every day. I have to have 2 eggs a day. And if I don't, then I feel my day is not complete. Yeah. I'm very happy to hear that you also look forward to a meal, because that's the meal that when I go to bed at night, that I look forward to in the morning.
Tell me, do you have hard-boiled eggs or baked eggs or poached eggs?
No, fried eggs. Fried eggs.
Fried eggs.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
2 eggs per day, and then you fry that tomato also.
Yeah.
In the pan.
Try it.
On sourdough bread.
On sourdough bread.
I'm going to. That sounds wonderful. I might have it for lunch. I was going to have. This sounds so common, but you know what? I love the tuna and mayonnaise. I love tuna in the tin. And I went to an Orthodox church the other day, a Greek Orthodox church. I like this church a lot because I don't understand a word in this church. It's all Greek and or in Russian, because Greek Russian Orthodox Church, and because I don't want to. I don't want to hear anything about God anymore. I just want to feel Him, and I love the incense and the candles and whatever.
Oh yeah.
And the preacher is really very handsome, and that helps. You know, if you look at a handsome guy, so
that helps with the dentist as well. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I tell you, all those little things help. So there's all the people who are at this church. They're all either from Romania or Serbia.
Oh yeah.
Or Greece. And then this Romanian woman, we always eat at this church. It's so wonderful. There's always food. That's also anyway. And she made tuna the other day, a Romanian tuna salad. So tuna mayonnaise, lots and lots of lemon.
Yeah.
Whole kernels, another tin with whole kernels in there, and olives, pitted olives. And it is so wonderful. And my neighbor made me whole wheat bread. And just that with a glass of wine. I cannot tell you, but I'm going to have this. I think what you've made now for lunch, I'm going to have that today.
I'll try the tuna, but that I'll have tonight.
Okay, have that tonight. Yeah, lots of lemon, squeezed lemon. Yeah, so no, man, I love eating.
Yeah, but and also, but how blessed are you to be able to talk like this? I mean, it's such interesting things you say and talk about, and also how you are expressive. I mean, I cannot imagine why they didn't give you a job in acting.
You know what? So I love you for that, Petra. But you know what? I think it's because when I was younger, I just wanted to be myself. Yeah, I think still. I didn't want to be a character. I just wanted to be myself.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's that. That's why this play that I'm doing now, I think I'm just going to play myself, you know? But besides another little sketch of this, the caterer, the cater manager, Jaime. But things happen the way they should.
I would, but I would love to see the play. Maybe I catch you one day when I'm in South Africa, and I'll come and watch the play. But
do you often come to South Africa? Sorry,
I come twice a year.
That's a lot. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You must give me your dates and I'll see where you are, and I might be having a show in that town where you are.
I would love to. I would love to do that. Good.
Thank you.
But Amore, now, the wish. What is the wish and the big dream for you?
My big dream is just to have wonderful meals every day. Yeah. That for me, I just want, my big dream is now just that those 2 eggs and that like a fried tomato and sourdough bread, that will be a success and that it can resonate with me. I have no other big dreams. I'm just now in this moment, and I wish I will sing when I'm going to sing in the play. I wish the singing is going to be successful. My big dream is now just that play. I think, that is my big dream, that it must, that's going to be successful. That is my dream for now, for this year. Yes.
Yeah, and that you can get the opportunity to sort of live and tell the story and connect with the people. I think that's, I so sense that from you, is that connection with people is so important for you.
Yes, I think I want to talk more. Not in conversation, but I want to entertain people. I think that is my dream. Yeah, I'm living part of it now. I'm chatting with you. I'm having a good time now, and I'm so aware of it.
Yeah, no, I'm having a good time listening to you, so I'm so glad. But Amore, this was so great to talk to you. Such amazing work, such amazing story, and I love how other people's stories are your stories as well.
Thank you, Petra. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you that I can share my joy with you. Thank you.
It's a great pleasure, and thank you for sharing your love for tuna and mayo with me.